The dietary goal of OFM is to get as much of your nutrition from the meals you consume. However, with the reality of today's fast-paced lifestyle, along with cultural shifts in our culinary tastes, it remains a big challenge to dial it in just through the diet. These foods are nutritionally dense. They have nutritional density and bioavailability. So these things aren't the issue, okay? People talk about nutritional density and bioavailability. Nutritional balance is where we place our focus, because in the reality of today, we have taken ourselves far away from that balance. So while OFM strives to help you get nutrition as nature intended, we approach supplementation truly from a less is more approach. Supplementing the OFM way. Now, the very first thing to know is this: supplements are not meant to replace food. Meal replacements, supplements, and shakes are not meant to replace food. The dietary goal of OFM is to get as much of your nutrition from the meals you consume. Since most of you are watching this, are probably eating whole/fresh foods and doing some form of strategically managing your carbohydrate intake, you are probably on the right track. However, with the reality of today's fast-paced lifestyle, along with cultural shifts in our culinary tastes, it remains a big challenge to dial it in just through the diet. Now, precisely because most people who are following the OFM protocols are eating this whole/fresh food, these foods are nutritionally dense. They have nutritional density and bioavailability. So these things aren't the issue, okay? People talk about nutritional density and bioavailability. Nutritional balance is where we place our focus, because in the reality of today, we have taken ourselves far away from that balance. So while OFM strives to help you get nutrition as nature intended, we approach supplementation truly from a less is more approach. So when you're fat adapted, most OFM athletes consume only 1 or 2 real substantial meals per day. So achieving that nutritional balance actually becomes critical. It's doable, but it's critical to pay attention and be aware. And one of the best ways to give your body what it needs is to adopt this OFM concept I've had of what I call whole animal eating, otherwise known as nose to tail. Now, it is vitally important as a high-performance athlete that you're getting the nutritional elements and cofactors that come from organ meat. The main thing we like to recommend is ruminant liver. And of course, the skin and connective tissue, which is commonly known as gelatin and collagen. And that's to balance the nutritional elements found in muscle meat, eggs, fish, and cultured dairy if you tolerate it. Americans and Australians and a lot of athletes eat way too much muscle meat. So whole animal eating actually works to minimize the amount of animal products consumed, because when you achieve this nutritional balance, the body is much more efficient. Thus, it needs a lot less animal protein. This is what we found consistently. And this forms the basis of OFM whole animal eating. And then when you round it out with non-starchy vegetables, along with fruits you consume as vegetables, so we're talking about vegetables like lettuce and other leafy greens, celery, and then the non-starchy vegetables, fruits you eat like vegetables, like avocado, tomato, zucchini, yellow squash, broccoli, eggplant, asparagus, etc. These are technically fruits, but we eat them as vegetables. You get the minerals, the phytonutrients, the hydration, and the appropriate volume of fiber. And also, the vegetables help keep you full. It's a great thing. Now, it's a wonderful concept, but this whole animal eating, but how many people are ready to regularly consume tripe, feet, liver, and other odd bits of animal viscera? Yeah, I get it. Most of you are not ready to go there. And even if you are hardcore about your nutrition and willing to go there but reluctant, are you ready? Are you really going to enjoy it? Because enjoyment of food is a critical piece of OFM, because the psychological stress and its impacts far outweigh the benefits, and we have other ways of getting that to you. And finally, how many of us know how to prepare liver, tripe, and heart, let alone have the time and energy to source it? Okay? If you can, great, but most of us don't. And that's the reality that most of us have out there. Fortunately, we have developed solutions that make it doable and sustainable for you in the context of your fast-paced world through simple supplement protocols using natural, real food-based supplements that get the job done to achieve that nutritional balance. Here are 4 principal supplements we recommend to effectively provide the nutritional balance you need to optimize fat metabolism. Gelatin and or type 2 collagen. Gelatin and collagen, they're interchangeable terms. Gelatin, most of the gelatin comes from the skin and connective tissue. And gelatin and collagen, it actually makes up 33%, a third, 33% of the protein in your body. Yet most people consume only a trace amount of gelatin or collagen in their diet. The second one is free-dried liver capsules with dried kelp. Now, as advertised, the liver from grass-fed beef cattle grown in Australia, in the Australian outback, and infused with pristine Tasman sea kelp for bioavailable iodine. And that's a mineral that's critical to thyroid health. The Grassland Nutrition freeze-dried liver plus kelp is a great way to obtain all the benefits of liver without having to consume it. That's why we have this particular liver product. Okay, the third one is magnesium chloride. And there's plenty of forms of magnesium that are well tolerated and taken up. And not only is magnesium chloride well absorbed, but this is the most natural and abundant form of magnesium. Magnesium chloride is actually more abundant than sodium chloride, salt. It's more abundant on the earth than salt. But magnesium is a mineral lacking in the modern diet. Yes, there are several other well-absorbed forms of magnesium like gluconate, glycinate, onitate, malate, but I use magnesium chloride because it is not only one of the lowest in terms of cost, but most likely the form we co-evolved with. Trying to keep it natural here, folks. Now, of course, vitamin D. I've always said magnesium and vitamin D, if you're not doing something about it, you're probably deficient. And this is derived from lanolin wool. And while it's preferable to get your vitamin D from sunlight exposure on our skin, very few of us have the good fortune to be out in the sun all day with a modicum of clothing. The reality is, most of us have our clothes on and we're under artificial lighting most of the time. This dictates supplementing with vitamin D3 as the easiest and most doable way to maintain vitamin D levels. And by the way, I've developed a specific OFM protocol for optimizing uptake, metabolism, and maintenance of vitamin D supplementation, combining a high-dose vitamin D3 with liver capsules and magnesium for that optimal uptake and metabolism of vitamin D. And the fourth one is zinc plus copper. So unless you're consuming oysters once a week, people are pushing themselves. They can benefit from zinc supplementation, not to mention the protective elements that zinc has for colds and for viral infections. And that trace copper in the zinc product we offer is key for zinc uptake and metabolism. Now, OFM does not promote using a lot of manufactured nutrition, shakes, protein powders, or meal replacements and that sort of thing for our athletes. But that being said, these do have a time and a place for severely time-constrained athletes who have immense training loads. But again, they are meant to augment and supplement a real food diet rather than to replace or supplant it. Okay? These are the basics of OFM supplementation. And we strive to make our protocols doable in the context of your life. The next step is to look at the individual as an individual, to see what is appropriate and what is required. At OFM, we are constantly researching, innovating, experimenting, and testing our supplement protocols to optimize health and performance. Think about Pareto's rule, or Pareto's law, or commonly known as the 80-20 rule. To get that 80% of your nutrition from your diet and 20% or less from supplements to achieve nutritional balance so you can get a lot more from a lot less. It is actually surprising how little you need and how good you will feel and perform. And this leads me to one final detail. What about the calories? What we find is when the athlete achieves nutritional balance, the calories, for the most part, take care of themselves.